My name is Mason Stone, and today we are going to be discussing a couple of the things that I consider important when it comes to ethics in Amtgard combat. Thank you, Mort here. We're going to start with the most basic stuff. I'm going to host this class at the beginning of the year every year. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me at any time. I'm going to try to keep this to under a half hour. We're going to start with the most important thing that I feel when it comes to Amtgard in combat ethics and courtesy, which is that we want more people to fight. If someone doesn't like being out here, if someone's getting beaten on a lot, if someone shows up every day and they're not getting anywhere or they don't feel they're getting somewhere, they're going to go get a customer service job and they're going to get beat up and abused, but they're going to get paid for it. So this is how we're going to try to keep people in Amtgard and how we're going to make it so that every day when we show up, we have a plethora of people to fight, because why would you want to show up and there only be one or two people to swing stick with? Speaking of sticks, I start every day with a weapons check. Checking your own weapon is important. I know there's a lot of parts that regularly check weapons at the beginning of battle games, but usually before that, there's ditching and warm up and everything else. So always, before you begin hitting someone out there, check your weapon. Simple way to check is you're going to push, pull, twist, and shake, just like a bop it. So you're going to push to make sure that you can't feel the tip. You're going to pull your way down the foam to make sure that it's all intact. You're going to twist it to make sure that you're attached to the core well, and you're going to wiggle it to listen for any rocking. Now, not everything is a short sword. Sometimes you're going to end up with a weapon that's a little bit weirder, like this wonderful log. Is this a legal Amtgard weapon?
Yes.
We know this because I probably brought it out. But someone new might look at this and go, okay, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to swing with it.
Yeah.
But this is not actually a sword. It doesn't meet the requirements for a long or a great. This is actually a javelin. So they need to know that this is a javelin. We got to check it like a javelin. Javelin is padded along the entire length. I have caps at both ends. I'm going to feel for that core. I'm going to twist it to make sure the core is attached, but can't really twist the core because I have caps on both ends. And then I'm going to shake it and I'm going to listen for that rattle. It passes the 4 checks. This is a legal weapon, but it is going to be a javelin, which means that it can only hit with either end.
How many fingers do you need on the end for checking the tip?
That depends on the size of the foam that you are using. So this is a 6-inch diameter caber, so fingers don't really help me here, but you can always get a tape measure and make sure that you have a minimum of 2.5 inches across any stab point. That's going to be your magic number.
Thumb to check the core.
Oh, yes. Don't use your thumb to check for core. That's not a great way to do that. That's a wonderful way to take about a square inch of pressure. You're going to blow out that foam. 3 fingers or more, the palm of your hand.
How hard should you be pushing?
Depends on the weapon. So, checking shields. This shield has a core, so I'm going to go around and make sure that I can't feel any of that core. There's no hard points on the surface. There's no real way for me to check to see if they have an inch of coverage unless I peel the cover off. And I'm going to generally be looking for anything that's going to cause trouble. The handle needs to be well secured. There needs to be no sharp protrusions. This is a rounded sanding handle. And then as usual, I'm going to shake it to make sure that it's well attached. Getting into combat etiquette. So, we're going to start with states and death. So, most common thing that a person coming out onto the battlefield is going to have happen to them is they're going to die. We all started there. You walk out onto the battlefield, you have a short sword, no armor, and a tunic that somebody donated you, and you're going to spend most of the game dead. So, upon taking something that causes you to die, put your hand on the weapon, hold it on your head, or do this. You're going to declare dead. Okay? Very simple. You can stand here, you can move back to the base, but you are going to want to call dead. This is going to make sure that everyone knows that you're dead. You're not kind of sitting there going, well, am I dead? If you're not sure, as always, take it. You're going to respawn in the next game anyway. States. So I'm going to borrow Breezy for a moment. Let's say that I'm playing healer. I have my obeyance ball. Breezy's now stunned. That's great, but how do I know that Breezy's stunned? How do I know that he's in a state? Breezy's just standing there. I might consider him a threat. I might walk up to him and smack him. But now you see, he's doing this. You can do it with a finger. Usually you want it about head height so that the archers can see you. Or if Breezy's holding a weapon, spin the weapon. This tells everyone within your visual vicinity this person is in a state. Now, that state can be stopped, can be stunned, can be frozen, can be insubstantial. It is Breezy's responsibility if someone interacts with him to discuss what that state is. The entire purpose of this is that if Breezy is frozen and I am an overzealous monk, we don't have one of these happening. So, I'm going to walk up to Breezy. Breezy's going to have that, and I'm going to go, okay, see, Breezy has just told me that he is stunned. Okay, Breezy could also be frozen. This is, again, so that if someone is in a state, they don't end up getting beat on without reason. Because if we beat on people without reason, they don't come back and fight us. All right, armor. So let's say I'm wearing armor, and I'm engaging with Breezy. I don't have to tell Breezy how much armor I have on, but I do want to tell him that I'm wearing armor. So I'm going to walk up to Breezy and I'm going to go armor worn. Okay? Breezy strikes. I'm either going to say taken and acknowledge the shot, or I'm going to say armor broken. Again, acknowledging the shot, but letting him know that he's broken the armor. From here, we're going to get into a couple other things that tend to cause problems. So, Breezy, I'm going to have you step over here. So, death is, by the rule book, the worst thing that can happen to a player at any time. It removes enchantments, you end up going back to the game, so it is the ultimate penalty throughout the course of playing Amtgard. But, there are ways and there are ways. So, if I'm fighting with Breezy, and let's say Breezy is turned around from me, okay? Let's say I'm playing Assassin, Breezy is playing Healer, I'm walking up behind Breezy. Breezy doesn't know I'm here. What's this problem?
That's just gonna hit too hard.
I'm gonna hit him. He's not gonna be prepared for it. So, when you are striking someone from behind, you want to be courteous. Courtesy can be done a couple ways. You can place the weapon and have it stop with just that gentle tap. Breezy can hear it. He knows the contact's there. Or you can make it more verbal, similar to various other LARPs. You can sit there and go, death from behind. What I have not done is, while running, is stabbed him in the back. The human body is not meant to do this motion naturally. We don't like it. And if Breezy is injured because I caused him to trip from a back shot, now he's not going to come play Amtgard with me. This is particularly important. Go ahead and turn. If we have something like this, it's a 6-foot polearm. If Breezy doesn't know what's going on, and I decide to stab him squarely in the spine, this polearm is not going to bend before he moves. Again, he's pushed back. We don't like our bodies to move like that. Again, if I come in and hit him here, we want to avoid the area between the shoulder blades and the kidneys. This is not a fun area to be hit in. We know this. Again, there are ways that with a polearm I can do this. Let's say I wanted to avoid the shoulder. I'm going to tap him right here. The body will bend that way a little better. He knows that he's just been hit in a lethal location. I have succeeded in killing my opponent, which is what I want to do, but I haven't hurt him. The other thing that I can do is, let's say, for example, I'm behind Breezy. He's just completed a clarification, which we will discuss in a moment, with someone. He taps back on. Have I successfully killed Breezy?
Very much so.
Very much so. Wonderful. He's dead. We know what happened. He's dead. He calls dead. And I have not hurt an ally. If, for example, I wanted to engage with Breezy and not stab him in the back, it is acceptable to also walk up and go, not your friend, Breezy. Just let Breezy know that I am here. Now Breezy and I can engage in combat. Again, it falls to the prerogative of the player. Now, we're going to pretend that this is white because I can't find my ice balls. Breezy is now frozen. Now, as many of you are aware, particularly on larger battlefields or in quests, if Breezy is frozen, and I am a healer, and I have 2 or 3 allies with me, I'm going to end up doing one of these. I'm going to release Breezy. And then Breezy, usually with 4 or 5 swords around him, is going to end up having a lot of this happen to him. Now,
Bang bang.
some people are comfortable with that, others are not. So what I'm going to put forward is what I call the fast forward or the friendly death. Now, Amtgard rules have a little bit of flexibility in it. So I'm going to walk up to Breezy, who is frozen. I'm going to engage, and I'm going to go, should we fast forward this? You take the death, I burn the spell, and we move on.
Yes.
Okay. Breezy's just acknowledged that he wants to do that. Okay. Spell is burned, he calls dead. Now Breezy goes back to the respawn point, and he sits there and goes, you know, that was a nice interaction. I didn't end up getting pummeled. The event was still the same. I've seen this a lot, particularly with wizards. They're not wearing any armor. Usually they're playing a little bit lighter. And particularly if you've got the pumped up barbarian there really, really trying to get his blood and thunder, that sword's going to come in a little harsh. Now, if we didn't do that, and I released Breezy, and he ended up just getting whomped on, he's going to walk back to Nirvana and he's going to go, well, that was terrible, and I got beat on, and maybe I'll just not play the next game, and now we've just lost a player, which is, again, what we don't want to do. Now, again, the rulebooks are a little bit flexible on the ability to do that, and it does give Breezy the option to do the opposite. So I have this same interaction with Breezy. Do you want to take the death and I'll burn the spell? If you say no, okay, so Breezy's playing a warrior that's full up with 6 points of ancestral armor. He wants to fight his way. Well, that's fine. We can do that. It gives Breezy the opportunity. We have the interaction. And then I can go, okay, I'm going to do the release. The pummeling happens, but he's now signed up for that pummeling. Something that we have to break in Amtgard is that simply because you step onto the battlefield does not mean that you're signing up to take 4 shots to the back from someone that you don't know. Now we're going to talk about when we need to discuss conflict. So let's say, for example, Santiago is new. Don't actually get me in the head of this. Santiago and I are fighting, and he just drills right down in the middle of my head. Okay? Now, according to the combat rules of play, combat stops. But maybe Santiago doesn't know that because he didn't come to my class. So Santiago's going to follow up that headshot, and he's going to hit me in the torso. I'm still reeling. I can't call dead because I'm dealing with this headshot, and he's going to keep hitting me. So, headshots stop combat between those 2 players. Okay? That is a local hold. Now, let's say, for example, that I'm fighting with Santiago, and he comes up and rushes me, and I slam him in the face, accidentally or otherwise, with this polearm. Santiago falls to the ground. We now have someone prone on the ground in the middle of a battlefield. This is a game hold, because now Santiago cannot move or keep himself safe. So a local hold is where the people can move themselves off. A game hold is where Santiago, or the person involved, or people involved, cannot move themselves off. About 2 months ago, I ended up twisting my ankle. I had to be carried off the field. That was a whole game hold. How you call a hold is really easy. You yell hold. A referee can yell hold, a player can yell hold, someone on the sidelines can yell hold. The point is safety. So again, if we were to do that reaction, Santiago hits me in the head, but he's taken my course, which means that he now stops. And he's going to go hold. Because I'm sitting there reeling, trying to figure out which way is up. Okay? That means that he is no longer in combat, I am no longer in combat, and anybody in combat around us just kind of shifts that way. or we move off to the side. Now, let's say that Santiago hits me in the knee while I'm running, and I fall dramatically to the ground because I've just twisted my ankle again. Santiago again calls hold. Oh, but because I'm on the ground and I can't get up, at that point he's going to call hold, and he's going to call a game hold. All right? Because now we have someone that can't keep themselves safe. Make sense? We're going to cover one more topic, which is going to be conflict resolution. So, let's say, for example, that I've really been working on stuff, and I definitely feel that my skyhook is just absolutely excellent, and I'm going to come up to Santiago, and I'm going to shoot all the way over, and I'm going to slam him in the back of the head. He might call hold, I might call hold, but let's say I just keep throwing that shot. Santiago's going to get frustrated. What we do when we get frustrated in Amtgard, we walk off the field because we don't fight angry. Fighting angry is bad. But now Santiago doesn't want to fight me anymore because I've been beating on him all day. Now, to resolve that, I'm going to give you a very simple piece of advice. Make your monarchs do their job. Santiago is going to come over and he's going to talk to the champion Sharkbait, and he's going to go, hey, Mason was just absolutely slamming on my head all day. I want to talk to him about it. I want to make sure that he knows that the shot isn't good. I want to make sure that he knows that he's going to hurt somebody. Santiago doesn't need to do it alone. Your monarchy signs up to handle conflict. They took the position title. They took the dues extension that came with it. The champion is in charge of safety. The monarch's in charge of the whole part. The PM is in charge of the paperwork that keeps people safe. Go to them have a closed conversation with you and the person, and go from there. Now, after you have this conversation, I can react a couple different ways to that, so I won't get into all of those different tells. But let's say we want to come back out. Santiago wants to talk to me. Santiago's going to come up. We're stepping back into a game again. We know we're going to do things. Santiago might look at me and go, hey, it wasn't working. You were slamming me in the head all the time. You need to throw a different shot. Maybe you need to work with somebody else to get it to move differently, but I'm not going to want to fight you if you keep doing that. And what he's attempting to tell me is, I just won't be here. I'll either find a different part to fight at, or I won't fight in Amtgard at all. And what is the one thing that we want to have in Amtgard? More people to fight. As far as taking shots, Sharkbait, go ahead and step out here for a minute. So let's say I'm out here, Sharkbait hits the arm. I'm going to say taken arm. I can also just say taken. Shoulder as well. And then, depending on how it goes, I'm going to then call dead. So, if I'm wearing, let's say, 6 points of AA armor, Sharkbait's going to hit, taken, 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 dead. Now I put my hand on top of my head. So, making sure that I'm communicating to the person that I'm fighting and progressing this honor system game is going to help you again fight kindly and courteously. Pink sashes. Pink sashes are slowly getting incorporated into Amtgard, similar to what you would have with any of the other sashes. It must be at least 2 inches in diameter, and it has to cover from hip to shoulder. For those of you unfamiliar with it, this is a non-combat person. That's going to be your NPCs and quests. That's going to be someone who's working with an injury, or it's going to be someone who just really doesn't want to get hit that day. So, in a lot of cases, and I'm going to pick on the diabetic community a little bit here, a lot of people that come out with insulin pumps on their shoulders or on their hips, they don't want to get hit. That's an expensive piece of equipment. So what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to play a support class, because Amtgard is inclusive and we want more people on the field, but they're going to wear a pink sash. The pink sash means that if anything comes within 5 feet of me, which is going to be about the knee to the bucket there, they're going to call dead. A lot of times they'll explain this before the game. So this means that projectiles, so let's say I have a ball and that ball lands within 5 feet of me, I'm going to take that effect as if it hit my body. For NPCs and quests, they're going to be your storytellers, your merchants, your other people that are there to progress the story forward, but are not there for combat. If you see a pink sash, as always, it is acceptable to go, what are your restrictions right now? What are we not doing? I see the pink sash, explain it to me. The other thing, in the old classic, is to walk up to someone and go, what do I see? Well, you see the merchant fairy with my wings. I'm non-combat, and if you collect tiles for me, then I can give you enchantments. Wonderful. I now know that this person is not someone I want to hit. They are there for the storyline. With that is a couple major points that I want all of us to take. Always remember that you can be kind on the battlefield. You're walking up behind that archer that's not paying any kind of attention to you. They have their bow drawn. You don't need to aim at the bow. You can just gently set your sword on their shoulder. They know what happened. I know what happened. And now we've removed the possibility of that 35 pounds of energy going somewhere that it's not supposed to. You're walking up behind a healer who doesn't know that you're there. Great. Killing the healer is the exact right thing to do in any battle game. But you don't need to come down and stab them. You can tap them right on the shoulder. An audible pop doesn't have to have a distance to it. If they can hear that audible pop, it's a legal shot. With that, I'm going to take a couple questions. But as all of you hopefully have seen out of myself, and if you haven't, call me on it. Fight kindly, and you will have more kind people to fight. Thank you.
Back to you were talking about on the ground, trips and falls. I'm assuming that there's a difference between you get hit in the leg and drop to one knee.
Yes. Much like what we saw with you, there is a difference between someone who is still actively engaged in combat and drops than someone who goes, and falls over. You're going to see a lot of this motion, usually when they slip on mud. Last question.
Isn't it taking arm broken? Arm, leg, dead.
Yes. In that case, yes, you can work through your armor, state that you've taken the wound, and then state dead. Again, I'm going to push communication. I think we're going to call that good for the day. I think I'm about a half hour. We're going to get battle games running. We're going to call it a good day.